The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
So welcome to another episode of the Icons of Real Estate podcast, where we highlight the top professionals who are making waves within the industry. I'm your host, Karen Roberts. And today we're featuring Joanie Hynes, a top realtor and associate broker with eXp Realty. Born and raised in Maryland, Joanie's deep market knowledge, her strong negotiation skills, and client-first approach have made her a trusted name in real estate. So let's dive into her journey and the secrets to her success. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is my first podcast, by the way.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a lot easier than people think, right? So first of all, would you like to share with the listeners a little bit about what inspired you to pursue a career in real estate?
Let me think here. So I bought my very first property when I was 24. I had started a business. I worked for the federal government, and then I started my own business. I owned a Mary Maids franchise, and I got involved with that because of my sister-in-law, who was first on this coast. And so when I made the decision to go into business for myself, one of my goals was to buy a place at the beach, buy a small condo at the beach. So at 24, I started that journey. And by 26, I guess it was, I had my first condo at the beach. And from there, and actually back in 85, right before we got married, we bought a condo. So I started the whole real estate thing pretty early, actually, in my life. And I loved that. I loved buying and selling. Never did I think it would turn into a career choice for me. But over the years, with buying and selling, and then when I sold my Mary Maids in 2013, right before that, I got my real estate license because everybody would tell me, you should get into real estate. You should get into real estate. So I did. And it was really the best choice I ever made. I mean, it's not always easy, but to me, it's like a second nature type thing. So I love what I do. I love helping people. I understand the market in several different markets. I'm a little bit different because I work in two different markets. I work at the beach and I work on the other side of the bridge. So I have a little bit of a different view, perspective, and knowledge base because of that.
And how has being a Maryland native, how has that shaped your approach to real estate?
Well, because all of my clients are people that I know and people that have referred me from people that I know. So I don't get any business from my signs or phone calls. Very rarely. I refer those out. I prefer to work with people I know, which then allows me to be able to work at two separate areas at the same time, believe it or not. So being from Maryland has helped me understand the state. I know it well. I've lived in Howard County, Baltimore City, Carroll County, and Worcester. So I've lived in some of the states or some of the counties that I work in, which helps me with my knowledge base as well. Right. When you're from an area, you just kind of know it inside and out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you emphasize making the home buying and selling, the whole process, enjoyable. So what is your secret to turning a stressful experience for many into more of a fun journey?
Well, I will tell you this. Every buyer and every seller starts with a meeting. When I work with a buyer, we have a buyer consultation meeting, and that's where I lay out the process. I give everybody information about what what that journey is going to look like, what the process is going to look like. My beach buyers are different than my Delaware. I'm also licensed in Delaware. So my beach buyers and sellers are different than my on the other side of the bridge buyers and sellers because, it's two different markets. But nevertheless, each consultation with a buyer and seller is absolutely mandatory to start that process, and that way
Mm,
everybody understands. I don't get people leaving me because they didn't think or didn't know or didn't understand. A buyer, before I show them any property, they have to be pre-approved, or they have to be able to prove to me that they're buying with cash. So
hmm
it makes that whole process for everybody much easier. I
And so
lay the
your
groundwork.
license, you do the groundwork first. So
Mhm.
being licensed in both Maryland and Delaware, what would you say are some of the unique either opportunities or challenges that you see in both those markets?
Um, well, they're very different. So my buyers and sellers are very different. The one thing I will say is that um, because people I know are the ones that I work with, when I sell, let's use the Delaware market. So my Delaware market are typically people that are retiring. So I'm selling their house in Maryland, most likely, and I'm helping them buy in Delaware. And that is a totally, that experience is very different than what the agents that work in those areas are used to because, again, I work in two areas. So I have a really good understanding about what that seller slash buyer, um, the wants and needs are. So for instance, very often I'll have somebody who's retiring, and so they're taking their money, they're going to buy in Delaware, and what happens is that we sit down, we talk about what their needs are, and when they tell me they need the 4-bedroom house close to the beach, and I then already know that once they move there, the kids aren't going to come as often as they think. So, and because I know that history, the background, it makes it easier for me to be able to show a lot of different properties that an agent who is local to the area wouldn't necessarily know. And so I feel
Hmm
like my knowledge and um, my experience with these buyers and sellers makes me a little bit different than what the norm is in the area that they buy in because of that, because I know what they
Mm,
need, I know what they're looking for, and I'm able to make recommendations just because I know them, and I know what it's like from experience for people who have bought and sold at the beach in Delaware.
cool, cool.
Hmm.
And
It is kind
and
of neat.
you've built lasting relationships with your clients. So what do you think makes a real estate agent truly unforgettable?
Communication and um, knowledge, just preparation, knowledge, and just communication. Those are the things that really, that's what's gotten me referrals. That's what's made people like me. Um, and I just try to make it fun. I don't, you know, each one of the transactions has its uniqueness in and of itself. Some can be challenging and some not so much, but it's the challenging ones that makes you appreciate the settlement day even more. And not always do I express that to my client. So, um, a good example, I had a client that I had bought and sold property with, and I helped the kids, I helped everybody. And she always said to me, "I'm going to be a real estate agent. I want to work with you. This is so. I love this. I want to do this." So lo and behold, she got her license, and I was helping train her. And then one day she came into me crying, and I was like, "What is wrong?" She said, "Joni, you never told me how hard it was." And I just looked at her like, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, "This is hard." And I never have felt that at all. So it's funny that when you work with people, and then they become an agent or they want to aspire that, I must not make it look hard. And that's, I've been told that. So when they get into it, it's not what they thought. And I just laugh
Right.
because It's not hard to me.
Awesome. And so, well, how has it been for you in Maryland and Delaware? How many sort of transactions do you tend to do on a yearly basis? And how was last year compared to a normal year?
So yes, last year I did, it's funny because I work in both markets. I think I did 42 to 43 transactions last year, and 10 to 15 of them were beach properties. So
Mm-hmm.
um, that number has been increasing, and I like that. So I recently moved from the other side of the bridge to the side of the bridge that I'm on now, just because it put me halfway between. So I am within 2 hours to the beach, and I'm within 2 hours, well, an hour and a half each way. And I watch our grandkids. So I go back to Carroll County every week, Wednesday to Thursday, and then I'm able to be at the beach if I'm needed rather quickly. So I think over
Perfect.
the last few years for me, um, doing more and more beach property, waterfront property, I love that. But then, you know what? Again, I only work with people I know. So I love everything. I don't mind it. I don't mind,
It's a
going to Carroll
win-win.
County and then going to the
Yeah.
beach. Yeah.
Perfect. So what's next then for Joni? What are your goals for this year,
Um,
2025?
so I think that for me, um, just to, it's where I moved to, I don't have a lot of business. So I'm like an hour from everywhere that I live. So probably to get a little more waterfront. I'm luxury agent, so maybe work a little bit more in that line. I think for me, my goal for this year, I have to remember what that is. It's not all about my transactions. It's not that. I need to get someone to help keep me straight. So I have a transaction manager that I use, but I'm also looking at hiring an assistant so that my time to work with other agents and to work with clients, um, I guess work on the business and not
Mm,
really step back, but I need to work more on the business is really what I need to
mm,
do. And I realize that
right.
I'm involved in um, some Maryland um, real estate on the, on the Maryland real estate committees. I do some of those types of things, volunteering. I love that. I love to train agents. I love to uh, just work in the community. And I don't have enough time to do that when I'm constantly working in the business. So a little more
Mm,
working on the business while still being able to do the in the business stuff. A good
brilliant.
mixture.
And that's what EXP gives you. It allows you to do that. So
Yes.
lastly, look, here at
Mhm.
Icons, we're passionate about making podcasting accessible to everybody involved in the
Mhm.
business of real estate. We're the number one real estate podcast network globally. So, Joni, if you had your own podcast as a way to either attract more agents into EXP or to increase transactions where you are, what do you think you'd call it?
I don't know the names of a lot of different podcasts, so you totally threw me on this one. But I guess, wow, I don't, I don't know. I don't know what the names are, so I guess I would have to say, um,
Don't
join
worry.
me. A day in the life of
Don't
Joanie
worry.
Hynes. I
Right, say
really
that
don't
again. Go
know.
on. Say that again.
A day in the life of Joanie Hynes. Join me.
Perfect. Perfect. Why not? Why not? Keep it simple.
That's
Awesome.
right.
And finally, how do people reach out to you? Where do they find you?
They can text me. I'm always available. Text 443-375-0002 or my email, joni@jonihynes.com, and my website, jonihynes.com.
Nice and simple. There you go. And Joni's details will be in the show notes, so you can resort back to that. So, Joni, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking to you with your insights and your journey. And to the
Aw.
listeners, I'll be back next time with the Icons of Real Estate. Bye for now.